So this is the recap for my trading on week 46 ending November 14th. My first trade of the week on Monday was a gold short, which I'll show right here. So the reasoning behind that trade was that there was a initial push after the Asian session that failed right below this weekly level, which was the week high 2 weeks before that. And I saw a pretty strong rejection. I waited for a confirmation, which came in the form of a high low compared to this one, and I entered short on this push down with momentum. I was immediately in drawdown and I closed manually. I was watching this level here, the previous lower high, and evidently I saw that the momentum was still bullish, and I closed slightly before it reached that level. So on this trade, I lost around 122 pips. The next day, I put in a couple of trades. Started with DAX. This was an opening breakout trade where the session began right at the bottom of the Asian session of the Asian range, and I closed manually because those double wick rejection didn't really reassure me. I could have waited a bit longer for a confirmation of a reversal against me, which didn't happen, but nonetheless the overall price action was pretty weak and ugly. So that was trade number 2 of the week, and those were 29 pips here. Then took a buy when the reversal actually came, or I thought it did. I waited for some kind of momentum to show that this level here, which was the previous month's close, might bring support. Waited for the pullback after the push up, and it kept going down, and I closed before it reached my stop loss because evidently again price didn't seem to go my way. And those were the 2 trades for Tuesday. Wednesday, let me actually, yeah, that's going to be easier to see. Tuesday was a DAX long, pretty much the same reasoning as the previous day, which was an opening range breakout. The market opened on this candle here with a strong rejection, and overall the trend was up. We were above the previous day high, which was tested a couple of times during the Asian session. And this time I actually got in the right direction with a push up of around 66 pips. I closed before TP just because I saw that clean up, that push up was pretty clean. I would have exited around this level on the wick here if it had gone against me. And I had another trade that day. I had a few other trades actually that day. Gold, along here, which failed evidently. Again, I'm always looking at high time frame levels. This weekly high, price rejected this weekly high and seemed to rejected the daily high, the previous day's high. And I went long here thinking, okay, this might serve as support. As I saw momentum going down, well, actually this one hit my stop loss, which I don't know if it was placed ideally or not. Well, actually it wasn't in hindsight, because price did push up after my entry, but it didn't have the initial momentum that I'm usually looking for on a rotation up. So lost around 58 pips on that trade. Still Tuesday, I had another long after this one. I waited until rejection of this weekly level here, which was pretty weak, and immediately there was some more momentum. I entered while this candle was forming because for me that was a valid rotation up, so it was basically a continuation up. After price failed to even retest the Asian session high, and I exited manually right above my weekly target around 46 points. Still the same day, I had a short on Nasdaq after the market open. So this bar here is the market open. Very strong rejection. Very small wick on the close of that bar. So I waited for a tiny bit of pullback. Here would be my level where I would either exit or actually wait for price to react to that level to see if I would exit or not. And I closed manually at this weekly level, weekly low, which was not probably not the best given the best level to exit given this momentum here. It was, in my mind, it was kind of a short scalp. So I was fearing a reaction to that level, which might retest this wick or that wick, and I didn't want to deal with that, honestly. And finally, another small loss on NAS where I saw this retest of that weekly level, continuation push down, and immediately price starting to be a bit choppy, and that's not the kind of continuation I was looking for, so I exited at a small loss. So I got around 17 pips at a loss here and around 34 here. And that's it for Tuesday. Wednesday, short scalp, market open on DAX, waited for the push, reaching the low of the Asian range, nearing the low of the Asian range. Those are the kinds of trades I take where I exit sometimes even before the first candle close. The drop was much bigger for the rest of the day, but that explains my exit here. Same kind of style, short scalp. I'm entering on momentum up at the market open. I don't have a clear target here, so this is the kind of setup where I wait for the wick, a lower wick to form to respect the previous bar's high, and if I see continuation push up, I enter, and here I exited at 56 points. Same day, DAX. This time I took the continuation, so I saw this formation here, consolidation, and on this bar that closed kind of around the lows. I went for a kind of a measured move around here. I saw the clean momentum. I exited manually at 50, 60 pips. Ideally, this would have been my target. And that's it for the 13th, which was Thursday, yeah. And Friday, I got two trades. Gold short, initial drop after a daily level test, weak pullback, momentum gaining here. So initially this was the level I was watching if price went against me. As price kind of went my way but was pretty weak and sideways, I moved my stop right above this bar to limit my risk. And then this one I closed manually too, as it was reacting to the daily level, and I got in 238 pips, and price continued to drop tremendously after my exit, which is not a problem. And finally, last trade of the week, where is it? Here. This was a Nasdaq scalp. I wasn't there for the push up to a, there you go, weekly close level, and this is the typical type of trade where I just go for some kind of pullback or reaction after an overextended move. At the end of the day, it was around 8 o'clock broker time, so it's typically another scalp, and I closed at the close of this bar because on this drop I would have exited around here. So this is typically the type of one-to-one risk reward ratio that I aim on a small pullback. So this is the trade recap of last week. There was a total of 13 trades, 5 buys and 8 sells. Net pip of 308 pips, mainly on DAX and a bit of on gold, with an increase of 16.5%. Overall, yeah, pretty good week.